all of a sudden, bang, 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 everything starts really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you go through so much stuff and nothing seems to happen and nothing seems to work, and then all of a sudden, bang, 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 everything starts to fall into place really quickly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at now, I think.
So, physically, well, let's just say, whatever, but spiritually or mentally or anything else like that, physically, you're in your home presently?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to tell the folks, I mean, most people won't be aware of this, maybe they are, I don't know, some will be aware, some won't, that you are currently living in a home, your home.
Yep.
And you had a bit of a struggle with certain authorities and certain minions, we call them, to stay in your home. So can you tell us, work us backwards, you're still in your home, so prior to today, we'll say, which is, what's today's date, the 28th of October, what happened prior to today?
Well, if I just work back, from what happened, the last thing that happened, on the 18th of October, well, it's the 27th day.
28th day, that was 10 days ago.
That was the day that the judge had ordered a repossession of the property.
So you're in court. You're in court.
Yeah, I was in court on the 20th, and I did I don't know whether people are aware of the Batman method, but I think they are, with the 4 cornerstones.
Well, I tell you what, Wendy, we'll assume that our listeners haven't heard of what you call the Batman method or the 4 corners. Will you explain that to our listeners, as if they know nothing? Just pretend our listeners know nothing. We like to treat them with ignorance, I suppose. Okay,
no problem. Basically, the birth certificate is copyrighted. So if you use the name inappropriately, there are rules surrounding using that name, and if you use them inappropriately, then you're pirating the name. So you're a pirate, and because you're a pirate, you can be brought into the laws of the sea.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the inappropriate uses of the birth certificate name is it's not allowed to be brought into commercial dealings without acknowledgement. So we're all going about just using the name because we've been given it, and that's our name, and we've been used to using it for the whole of our lives, and we've been asked, what's your name, and you've said, my name is, when we actually don't own the name. It's owned by somebody else.
Who owns the name then?
Well, it's my belief that the Crown owns the name. I believe that's true worldwide. So if it doesn't say the Crown on your birth certificate, it's Crown copyrighted. It will say it's some copyrighted, by somebody, but that will lead to the Crown.
Okay, it goes back to the Crown. Okay.
Yeah. So they own it, and it's not a certificate that's for to be used for identification, and it actually states that on there. It's a certificate that's used for indemnification.
What's indemnification?
To indemnify you.
What does that mean?
So you can use it in the private. I can call you Daryl, you can call me Wendy, in the private, and that's no problem. But as soon as you bring that name into the commercial world, and it's not been acknowledged as Crown copyright, then you're going to be liable for the name, and that's the simple truth of it all. So basically, anybody who's using that name and writing to that name, if you haven't authorised them to use it, then they are
in breach of...
Yeah, in breach of the copyright. So it's up to you if you want to carry on and pay and carry on and accept coming through the door, then you'll be liable.
If somebody is using... If somebody is using the name, then I'm going to throw in a question because I want to clarify this in my own head. If somebody is using the name, and as you say, you haven't given them permission to do that, you can use it as copyright material, so on and so forth, then, as you say, what can be done to that man or woman or person that is using that name without authorization? How can you sort of make sure that they stop using it, first of all? Is there a way to getting them to stop using it?
Yeah, there's a way to stop them. You can ask them who gave them the authority to use that name as personal identification, or a good one to ask them is, are you using that name for personal identification? And if they say they are, then you say, hello, that name. I hope you've got everything you need to deal with the matter. Because if they're claiming it, they're it. So if you ask them, are you claiming that name as personal identification, then they're claiming it.
So liability goes with it? Yes.
So whoever's claiming the name gets the liability, even if you're not that name. So if you go to court, say for instance, and there's a solicitor there, and you're not claiming the name, then they're claiming the name, and they have the liability.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. You were talking about the 4 corners. So, what are the corners we've covered so far, Wendy?
I haven't really covered any of them at the moment, but what you basically have to do, what the 4 cornerstones are, I'm here about the matter, there's been a mistake.
A matter? Mistake? Yeah.
Where's the proper notice, and I want to deal with this matter honourably. They're the 4 cornerstones.
Okay, let me just drop this on. I'm here about the matter.
Yep, there's been a mistake.
I'm going to write this down. There's been a mistake. Okay, and the next one?
Where's the proper notice?
Where is the proper notice? Yeah.
And I want to deal with this honourably.
Want to deal with this honourably. My handwriting is a bit dodgy here. Oh, got it. Yeah, okay.
That's right. So basically, if you do get a call from a corporation or a letter from a corporation, and they're trying to take you through security, with any security details regarding that name, don't give them. Okay. Because you're making yourself liable for the name. What you've got to think of is the information to do with that name in the public is data protected, and you're not that name, so you're dealing with matters that have got absolutely nothing to do with you.
Okay, I get that. Okay, I'll tell you how I get it. It might help. I know it doesn't help you by me explaining what I get, but it might help some of the listeners, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong. I've had, we'll just call it a credit card company, and they begin with the letter M, call me up, and they've asked, what they tended to do at one stage was they rang, and I'd answer and I'd say hello, and there'd be a pause, and all I can assume is that they were looking for me to say hello, this is a name, or the person, or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So they have a long pause, and then they say, could I speak to the name, the person? And I'd say, who's calling? And they would say, it's such and such from Public Credit Card Company. And I'd say, well, how can I help? And they'd say, is this the person? And I'd say, well, it's not the person you're seeking, but I can take a message. And that's really as far as the conversation ever really went.
Yeah.
Because I didn't confirm, but I was the person that they were looking for.
That's it. That's around about what I do. Normally I'll just say, they'll say, oh, can I speak to the name? And I'll say, no, sorry, nobody on this number with that name. Okay. So then they just go away. And I always say to them, can you remove that number off your database, please? I don't get any phone calls off anybody now because, I've made them all remove the number. I've told them all it's not me, which is true. It's the only truth. Okay, well,
hopefully you'll take calls from me, will you?
Yeah, sure.
but I always identify myself when I'm calling people. I always say, hi Wendy, Mr. Darrell. I wouldn't mess about like that anyway.
Yeah.
Unless
I can talk to you, and like I said, you can call me Wendy, and I can call you Darrell.
Yeah. Well,
and that's no problem because it's in the private.
Okay. Well, I know I put you up. I'm going to keep putting you up as I'm clarifying things for myself. So I hope you have the patience with me to do that.
Yeah, that's all right. No problem.
Okay. So you were talking about we talked about the matter. You're there to deal with the matter in court. Yeah. And then
so when you go into court, all you're basically doing is you're going in there. Now, this is the best way to imagine it. Imagine I'm going into court because somebody is claiming that I'm your name. Not my name, your name. Just say that, for instance, because it's got to be a name. It's alien to you in a way, in there, and that's the way you've got to look at it. So go with it. Go in your mind. Somebody's claiming I'm you, and I'm going there to the court to clarify that matter with the court.
Okay, I think I get that. So I'm walking. Okay.
Carry on, sorry.
I'll walk into the court, and I'm saying here. Well, look, there's something the matter. There's a matter, and I'm here to clarify the matter where possible. Yeah. Yeah,
that's it. That's basically what you're doing. You go in there. You're in your flesh and your blood, and you're living and you're breathing. So there's a distinction between you and the name that's in front of them on the paperwork.
So, just again, and I'd like to get this clear, because there'll be people listening in, and whatever we're saying, Wendy, they'll be confused, no matter what it is, no matter how clear we are. So, I think I'd agree with you on this as well, is that you're not a name, and I'm not a name.
Right.
Is that right?
And that's what it's basically down to.
Yeah. Although we can use a name, we are not a name. It's just like you're not a thing, you're a woman.
Yeah, that's it. The name was given to us to indemnify us.
Yeah, okay.
And that's it. It's not for personal identification, it's there to indemnify us.
No, and we can use that. That means we can use that for doing whatever we like to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. But it doesn't belong to us.
No, it doesn't belong to us, no. It's Crown copyrighted, and it's first owned by Her Majesty.
Her Majesty, Queen Lizzie.
So she's the owner, she's the liable one.
Okay, sure. Alright, so it's her property. Now, I know we're saying Queen Elizabeth or whatever, or the Crown, and again, that's a sort of a non-entity as well, isn't it? That's just a corporation.
Yeah, but whatever, I don't care what goes on in their world, as long as it's alright in my world.
So, look, there's a name that owns a name, okay, so we've got a corporation that owns a name. We don't own it, but we can use it.
Yes, we can use it to indemnify us.
Yeah, but nobody else can. Nobody else has that ability, legally speaking, to use that name.
Well, they can.
Yeah?
They're liable if they do.
Okay, that makes sense. So, it'd be like me taking Dave's car. Dave wouldn't be liable for me taking his car. If I hit something, or hit a bush, or a tree, or a wall, or whatever, it'd be me that'd be liable.
Yeah.
Okay. Unless Dave...
It's like, if you've got a film, say for instance, and you copy that film and you sell it to people, you'll be in serious trouble if you get caught doing that, yeah?
Okay. So again, if I took Dave's car without his permission, I'd be in serious trouble.
Anything, with Dave's car, it's a little bit different, because we're talking copyright.
Okay. And
it's not really Dave's car anyway, it's their car as well. But
only Dave can give me permission to use it.
Film, and you copy a film and you sell it, then you're in trouble if you have no permission.
Yeah.
But if you get permission off some and you sell it, that's fine, you can do that, that's no problem. But if the company who's made the film gets into trouble about the film and goes to court and has to pay money, you won't have to pay money because you're using that, because you've been given permission to use it.
Okay, yeah.
What money would you have to pay? How would you be liable for that?
Yeah, that'd be where the terms and conditions come in, wouldn't it? Yeah, you'd have to do, and you'd only be able to use it with certain limitations. Yeah,
with whatever they've said, whatever they've given you permission to use it for. And they've given you permission to use the name, not to bring it into the public, and to indemnify us.
So if all these people, but these corporations that write to us, you're saying then that they have no permission to write you or me a letter using that name?
Well, they think they've got permission because you didn't tell them otherwise.
Oh, I see. So you have to notify them.
So you practically let them do that. So that's why you've got to say to them, I'm here about the matter, and there's been a mistake. The mistake is somebody's using that name for personal identification, and it's not supposed to be used in that way. You don't give names, you don't say I'm doing it, even though it has been you, and it is your fault. Because it is written there on the birth certificate that it's not for personal identification, that it's Crown copyright. And if we